Coming up on This Week in Radio Tech, Marcos O'Rourke is with us, and he's just done a huge VoIP, voice over IP project, not just for the radio station, but for a whole campus of like 500 employees, plus some beautiful pictures from Santiago Peak outside of Los Angeles. It's coming up next on TWiRT. This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you by Broadcasters General Store, with outstanding service, savings, and support. Online at bgs.cc. By Angry Audio. Audio problems disappear when you get angry at angryaudio.com. By Nautel, keeping you connected with your community with support and webinars. Online at nautel.com/webinars. And by Max Connect Wireless, prioritized high-speed internet service designed for transmitter sites and remote broadcasts. Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech, the show where we talk about everything from the microphone to that light bulb at the top of the tower right there. That came off an actual top of a tower. I'm Kirk Harnack, your host, here in the Nashville studio for the Telos Alliance. And so delighted that my employer, Telos, lets me have an hour off on Thursday afternoons to do this show and talk about technology, radio technology, tips and tricks, and the things that we learn. And maybe we can all do our jobs a little bit better, thanks to the guests and my co-host, not necessarily to me, but I just try to hold the thing together. So I'm glad to be here and glad that you're here too, and thanks for joining us. Chris Tobin is here as well, and he's in a fine spot. Chris, where are you at today?
I'm in our performance space here at WBGO. So just checking on a few things, working on some projects with our fund drive coming up shortly, so getting things in order.
You know there's work being done when there's a ladder in your shot.
Well, I call the quartermaster. That's the set designers. We just put that out there just for fun. I'm only kidding. No, it's just changing some lights, and it just left it behind me.
You're not too many miles from Broadway, and a ladder is often part of a set on Broadway.
This is true. But at least we have an active studio here for what we do, so it's good. Yeah. I sometime I'd love to come do the whole show there. When COVID's over, I want to come there and we'll both be in studio. Absolutely.
And maybe we can coordinate it with a jazz set live, just before or just after our show. That'd be even better.
Well, I will check the schedules as things progress in the new year, because I'm guessing we're not going to see any travel or activity between now and January.
No, well, and if I did come, I'd have to wait 14 days in a hotel, wouldn't I?
Oh, yeah,
Something
that's
like
right.
that.
Well,
yeah. If
you're staying in New York State, in New Jersey, I'm not sure what the plan is. Maybe it's the same thing.
Oh, maybe I could sneak.
Yeah, you could probably easily sneak in, I'm sure.
Hey, we got our guest.
Metro.
Let's go ahead and bring our guest in, because he's just terrific. Marcos O'Rourke. Hey, Marcos, welcome in from, where are you at? Santa Ana, California, huh?
Santa Ana, California, just a few miles south of Los Angeles, right over that way. But Marcos, thanks for having me on.
We're going to get to some really cool topics, and I'm glad that we got to touch base this week. We're going to talk about a huge voice over IP cutover project that involved not only technology but also some human engineering, right?
Yes, yes. Quite the project.
And then on the engineering topic, we're also going to talk about some mountaintop engineering. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But right now, Chris and I are going to remind you about Nautel and their Transmission Talk Tuesday roundtables. They're going on through this whole month of September at noon Eastern time every Tuesday. That's why they called them Transmission Talk Tuesday. It's not your typical webinar. You don't have to sit down you can just sit and listen, but you can also participate. Jeff and the panelists introduce a topic and then open the floor to your input and questions. The upcoming topics, here you go, for September the 15th. It's going to be IP security with guest Wayne Pacina. Common sense ways to educate staff on the need for security. Discuss common sense steps to take and things that should be done to make recovering from the inevitable issues less stressful. Then September 22nd, radio-based STLs, various types, analog, IP, licensed, unlicensed. Discuss what situations are solved by which. I should sit in on that. I think I'll just be in the audience and heckle. And then war stories on September 29th. Hey, they're copying after us, Chris. They're copying.
Well, it's the best form of flattery.
War Stories, September 29th, discussion of the worst we've seen. So you can register at nautel.com/webinars. And these happen on Tuesdays. So that means, there's time between Thursday when we do this show and Tuesday when the webinar happens. So go right now. go ahead and open a tab and go to nautel.com/webinars. There's one more webinar that's coming up. It's actually a week from today. It's Thursday, September the 10th. Join Nautel and my friends from the Telos Alliance for the third in a 3-part series. So this is the coup de grace. This is the finale, a new way forward with a live demo. It's the final installment of the Radio Air Chain Innovation webinar series. If you run HD radio or you're thinking of it, this solves problems. Oh my goodness, it's so smart. In previous sessions, we showed how software implemented audio processing and a digital radio air chain could eliminate HD radio time alignment drift. The third webinar, these fresh approaches will be extended to reveal even more disruptive approaches to the radio air chain, including a live demo. So go to nautel.com/webinars and register for that one too. That's a week from the day. So nautel.com/webinars. Get yourself registered like I am and enjoy. Really good stuff. All right, Chris Tobin and our guest, Marcus O'Rourke. Marcus, I guess it'd be good just to start out with what do you do? You've been on the show. It's been quite a while, but tell us what you do there in Santa Ana, California.
Well, I am officially I'm the engineer, but the chief engineer for KWave Radio, which is owned by a church, Calvary Chapel, and we have a few other stations throughout the area. And I keep, like you say, from the microphone from the studio to the light bulb on the tower working.
We're going to, not right now. Not right now, but we're going to have a live shot from your transmitter site, which is a shared site. You got lots of other people up there. Not now. We're going to hold that over till the second half of our show, the live shot. We also have, and we'll get to it again later on, this KWave status page that you have. I guess, well, I'll let you introduce it when the time comes, but that's coming up. Marcus has got this fantastic status page that shows what's going on with all the different stations and streams that are part of the network that Marcus helps take care of. But first of all, we're going to talk about voice over IP before we get to all that cool mountaintop transmitter stuff and live feeds. Voice over IP. Now, okay, on its surface, VoIP, okay, that doesn't sound all that exciting. Lots of radio stations have gone to VoIP, and the few that haven't probably wish they have or are in the process of going to it. I'm very familiar with VoIP in terms of business phones, off-site hosted SIP PBXs, but also on-air phone systems for taking callers. I work for Telos, and they make the Telos VX, which is a totally VoIP digital phone system from in to out, and the callers sound really good. So, Marcus, kind of tell us about the story of going VoIP and how it wasn't just your radio station. It was a big thing, lots of phones. Kind of tell me where you started and how you made your progression into where you ended up.
Well, it's been a long road, probably 5-6 years from the time we started. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was kind of playing around with Asterisk and went, oh, this would be cool to do. And at the time, my direct supervisor was actually the facilities manager for the church as well. So he was in charge of all the phones, and we were talking, and come to find out that our old Nortel Meridian system was limping along. I mean, we're finding parts on eBay to keep this thing alive, and it was just basically hold your breath, don't look at it, don't talk to it, just let it do its thing and hope it doesn't die. So we started looking at different companies, going through the different bids that were coming in, and we kind of just decided on AT&T. They kind of gave us the best bid that we felt for the price, for the service, and we started off that project almost 6 years ago now.
You said something really interesting at the beginning of this of what you're telling us, and that is you were playing with an Asterisk PBX, and we've talked about that a bit here on our show. Mm-hmm. Joe Talbot's been on, Sean Dolan's been on, of course, Chris Tobin has talked about it as well, and that's kind of where the It's kind of where the addiction starts, is just playing with a small VoIP PBX for free. You can download it for free, run it on a Raspberry Pi or a beige box computer, and have a whole phone system. What were your thoughts in beginning to play with an Asterisk, and how did you kind of when did you figure out I could do this? I could make a phone system.
Yeah, I was so out of my league on that. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know certain concepts and certain terms that are in the VoIP and telephone world. So I'm trying to play with it, trying to get things to work, and it never worked right for me. So
wait, but you had the audacity. You had the audacity to go ahead with this anyway?
Well, we're not doing our own. We're using somebody else's hosted voice system.
Okay.
Oh, no way. That's another level of liability that I don't need on my shoulders.
Gotcha. I hear you. Yeah, but actually, before you go on, I want to say I think having played with VoIP PBXs myself, and I think I had some good tutelage, right, from Joe Talbot and Sean Dolan, who both were colleagues at Telos. They showed me the hard parts, and then finally the light turns on in my head. I go, oh, that's how that's what that means. That's how you get an inbound trunk to show up somewhere and do something. So once you figure those things out, you're okay. But what scares me, and why I kind of like the idea of somebody else hosting the PBX, even if I have access to it to set things up, is hacking. Hacking seems so popular. I mean, Port 5060 is really popular amongst hackers. And so if you got somebody else to take care of that liability, you're well off, don't you think?
And that was part of the bid is the security aspect of it. They were AT&T was providing the security for it at their data center, and so that was one thing that we didn't have to really worry about, because security is huge these days, even more so now than it was 5 years ago. So letting people who are more experts in that field take the lead on it.
Now, even though you're hosted off-site, and you're not even quite sure exactly where it's hosted, it doesn't matter. It's somewhere, some data center somewhere. And you have a managed IP connection onto your campus there. And I should point out, you've got like 500 employees. You got a ton of phones.
Yeah.
Is there a device there on campus that everything connects to, or that this managed service terminates at?
No, there's two parts of it, if you will. There's we have like a VLAN for it that goes to a router that's on an MPLS circuit back to their data center, wherever it is, Texas or something, wherever it is. But all of our phones that are here, all the physical phones, connect to that router and then go to the server in the data center. And then we have other people who have soft phones, phones on their computers, phones on their cell phone, and those all connect through the internet and establish their connection that way. So wherever we are in the world, we can still connect into the system.
So if somebody has the soft phone app that's intended for your phone system, are you telling me that connection doesn't come through your facility and then through the MPS line? It just goes directly to where the data center is that does the hosting?
Okay. That's correct. Okay. It just goes straight through the internet.
Now, I would agree. It can be a big project. It's not just the radio station. You've got a big church facility there. You've got a PK through 12 school there. You've got a college campus there as well. So help us understand, why did it take 5 years to figure out or to get VoIP phones implemented? That does seem like a long time.
It was a long time. So in the beginning, we had it was just hard to get things started. The team from AT&T, they dropped the ball. We dropped the ball. It was just everybody dropped the ball. And when we finally went, okay, let's get this going, AT&T actually went, hold on, because the provider of the system was going to be ShoreTel. And what had happened right before we said let's go was that Mitel bought out ShoreTel, and Mitel was the new provider through AT&T. So then we had to start the process over. And yeah, that's kind of what took it a long time. Finding all of the phone lines here took a really long time. We're talking 50 years that they've been on this campus, and every department goes, oh, I need a fax line. So they went and started a new account. Oh, I need a telephone line for this. They started a new account. So, we were juggling 30, 40 bills and just trying to find everything and consolidate everything. So we are in a much better place today than we were at the beginning of this, billing-wise at least.
When you and I talked about this earlier, Marcos, I was thinking that Chris Tobin has some real expertise in this as well. When you had your Nortel Meridian phone system in place for literally decades, and people got used to a certain workflow. May not have been the easiest workflow, but it's what they knew, and so and because it's what they knew and know, they're a little scared of a new phone system. Is it going to work like the old one did? Clunky as it may have been. Or maybe they actually did have a feature that was pretty cool, that was exclusive to the Nortel phone system, that maybe a VoIP system doesn't do as easily, but you could maybe make a workaround. So this human engineering is what I really talked about a bit earlier. And what you said, you had to get buy-in, or at least acceptance, from the close to 500 employees who may say, well, I used to be able to just push a button right here and talk to Joe down the hall. Can I still do that? How did you approach that kind of problem?
Yeah, we worked with the different departments early on. So the radio station was the first one that we did all the conversion for, and that was kind of the test bed. And so that was easy. We don't really have anything too crazy that we're doing except for the radio station call-in, which ended up being super easy. Using a Telos VX, and it worked. But then moving on into the different departments, we worked with them, tried to see what their workflow was, and see if we could recreate it or find a workaround that was the least disruptive to what they're doing. But unfortunately, there were other things that came in. Oh, I get to punch in this code and we get to answer that phone over there. And those things we didn't know about until we put it in. And then users started going, hey, how come I can't do this or do that? Oh, what did you do?
Yeah.
So, and then it was, okay, what was that feature? Let's see how we can make the new system do what the old system did. And, but part of that, like you were saying with the human engineering, is asking them, okay, think fresh. Is there something, look at your workflow. Does it have to be done that way? That's the way it's always been done, but does it have to be done that way? Is there a more streamlined approach to it, or is there a more efficient way of doing it? Some of them said yes, some of them still wanted the old way. So,
one of the things that you can ask people, and this works in so many environments, instead of trying to understand the way they used to do something, the question really to ask is, what is it you're trying to do? Don't tell me how you did it. Just what do you want to do? And we'll figure out, or I'll suggest to you, or we'll figure out together how we're going to get that done. But just tell me what the thing is that you want to do. Well, I want to pick up the phone, hit two buttons, and talk to so-and-so down the hall. Or no matter where he is, I want to reach him. I want to follow me to his cell phone or wherever. So that's the kind of question that you need to ask people, isn't it?
Yeah. And boy, did I ask that question a lot. So, okay. So what is it you're trying to do? Okay. And then I would re-explain it in words that I would understand to make sure that I understood it. And then I would re-explain it. Well, that was kind of mostly in my head. And then I would re-explain it back to them to make sure that I understood what it was they were asking for, because something that they call pickup was a shared call appearance, or vice versa. So, trying to understand what it was they were trying to do in the right terms was difficult, but we got through it mostly. There were a few features that they were asking for that we didn't get, but oh well.
Well, but the more time they spend with the new system, the more they'll figure out what it can do, and it can probably do some pretty cool things. That I mean, it's serendipitous, right? They'll probably do some things that they haven't thought of yet. Hey, in just a minute, we're going to talk about the savings that accrued to the radio station and to the campus that you're on. How many thousands of dollars a month are being saved, and also you're going to tell us a little bit about hunt groups and how you found out that was pretty easy to do. It's This Week in Radio Tech, episode 508. I'm Kirk Harnack. Chris Tobin is along in the WBGO performance space, and Marcus O'Rourke from Santa Ana, California, just outside Los Angeles, is with us. Stay tuned, because in the second half of the show, we're going to look at a live feed from the transmitter site, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Our show is brought to you in part by our friends at Angry Audio. And Suncast, I'm not sure this is the right order. I told you about, but we're going to talk about Angry Audio for a minute here. They're having this really cool sale, actually. It's a promotion. It's called Get Real 20, and that gets you 20% off any Studio Hub item by just asking tell your dealer, hey, I want my 20% off. It's called the Get Real 20. And by Get Real, what they mean is, don't buy some knockoff. Don't buy something that was invented after Studio Hub, like these cool adapters that Studio Hub makes. This is the male RJ45 to whatever kind of audio connector you need. A couple of female XLRs there. Personally, I started out with, and I like the old-fashioned kind of adapter here. I think this works great. This is the kind where you plug the XLRs or whatever it is into your gear. Just less than a foot away, you've got the RJ45 female, and then you just run a piece of Cat5, whatever length you need, so the cable looks good, whether it's a foot long or 2 feet long or 6 feet long or 50 feet long. You run this back to wherever your nearest RJ45 connection point is on your X node or whatever your audio over IP device is. And this makes your wiring so neat. By the way, Studio Hub, of course, was invented before AOIP. It's just a great wiring scheme, even if you're not going into the audio over IP world. Studio Hub really makes things look neat. And if you want to, there's the 1/4-inch tip ring sleeve style as well. And remember, all this is 20% off right now. Get Real 20 is the name of their promotion. They even have these for AES audio. So that would be stereo audio digitally on just one pair of wires or one connection. So that'd be your AES into some device, and this would go into a node or something. And then they also have these pretty long too. I'm not going to untangle that, but I think that's 6 feet long. 20% off. Real Studio Hub gets you, it really puts you in the price of the knockoffs. And the last thing is the Studio Hub Bluetooth gadget. You're looking at the, there's so many web pages there. Angry Audio is the website. This is the Bluetooth gadget. This goes in your studio. It lets your guests and your hosts come in and connect their phone easily to your audio console for two-way audio or one-way audio. Either way, you get the best possible quality in either mode, and you can use that as a phone hybrid if you want to. Use your phone as a phone hybrid. Put VIP callers on the air, put the Pizza Man on the air, and go through the Bluetooth, or play high-quality music out of your phone and into your audio console if you've got a special cut on your phone. Thanks a lot, Angry Audio, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. The website, angryaudio.com. Hey, it's Kirk Harnack, and Chris Tobin's along. Chris, there you are in the performance studio. And like I said, sometime I got to be there and see what your lighting setup is and what that looks like. And I would just love to hear some good jazz music.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. It's
it's
DIY lighting. Trust me. Just remember, lighting is how you control it. It doesn't matter what you're using. It doesn't have to be a brand. Light is light. It's just how you manipulate it. So whatever light you use, a mechanism that you use to create light, as long as you understand the principles, you're fine. Trust me. As I look around, these are not Klieg's. These are not Bondor type lighting grid. This is a pretty standard office setup, but I've modified it a bit. So you can look at the videos and ask yourself whether or not those are professional lights or something that I jury rigged. So, but it works.
Well,
just like the light here.
Yeah.
Just like this setup here. This is actually a little light on the table that's filling in. And I have above me a light that's creating what they call a hair light. Because if I do this,
yeah.
See? So then you just bring this up slowly, just about where you want to be. And that's how it goes. And the camera on that I'm using here will change it, but that's it. And it's a tungsten light, so it's a little warmer than what the lights above me are. So I'm actually mixing color temperatures. Almost like the afternoon sun.
I've for years in the studio, I don't know if I've shown this before, I use this little remote control to control my lighting so that I don't have to get up and plug some things in or flip some switches. I think this may have been $29, and there's three, because there's three buttons, there's three little AC controllers. So for example, I just recently added the hair light. And the reason I added this, for years, I went without it. I looked like that. And I realized that I kind of blended in the background. And with Zoom and its automatic background replacement without a green screen, it had a hard time telling my shoulders from the back. So I thought, hey, I'll put the light in there. And then I did I hooked the on-air light to it too. So the on-air light goes on and off, ta-da, with the hair light. And so now I can fix Zoom. And then I've got buttons 2 and 3. Here's the, let's see here. There's the front light, and there's the side. Come on now. The range is terrible. And there's the side fill light. So So I just jury rigged some inexpensive lighting, and there you go. And then we go to Marcos in sunny Southern California, and he says, I don't have any special lights at all. It's just natural.
My light's the sun. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
There's no remote for this
natural
one.
light, but the sunlight, this natural sunlight is actually a very nice source as long as you know how to manage it. That's all. Nothing wrong with that. And with your camera set up and the lens, you have a nice roll off behind you. So you got to create a nice pop out, which is perfect. So the sunlight does exactly what you want. It's an ideal setup.
Nice, large, soft source.
That's what you want. You want a soft sauce to wrap around to create nice, subtle shadows, like the eyes and the contrast. We're all accustomed to contrast. That's how it works. So you get a nice, subtle, the softness is what you need.
Marcos, back to your VoIP project. You're going to tell us an amazing figure, how much money that your organization is saving every month because you went to a VoIP SIP service. Talk to us about the savings.
Yeah, it was very significant. We were, I don't know how much we were paying before, but the savings is almost around $10,000 a month of savings. Phone lines and ISDNs and T1s have just gotten so expensive here that, moving from those traditional copper to SIP was an incredible cost savings. And we had to order a couple more POTS lines because I accidentally ported over some fire alarm lines.
Oh.
Oops. Yeah, they weren't on my list as fire alarm lines. But when we had to reorder them, I think it was like $50 a month or something to that effect. And I went, for just a regular POTS line? And they're like, yeah. So, it's amazing how much that they're raising up prices for regular copper lines these days. But
$50, $50 doesn't seem so bad. There's plenty of places that pay anywhere from $60 to $100 a month per POTS line for business.
Ouch.
Business POTS. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. At my little radio stations in Mississippi, we just cut our phone bill by, and this is just in the last month. We killed 3 phone lines. We're saving about $210, $220 a month because now we have internet to every one of our transmitter sites. Now, a couple sites, it ain't the best internet. It's a wireless ISP, and sometimes it gets a little wonky. But we just made extensions off of our business, off of our PBX. It doesn't care where the end user device is. It doesn't care where the user agent or the endpoint is. So we put in a couple of ATAs, and I'm sorry, again, a couple sites we just got SIP phones, and some sites we have some sign systems dial-up remote controls. Luckily, they work fine with the ATA. We tested them. They call out. You can call in. They work just fine. And so we're saving over $200 a month just by adding 3 extensions, which actually cost us nothing. So it's good to hear about.
It's amazing how much it adds up. Well, I mean, our savings was so big because we have a big campus, schools, different departments, and 50 years worth of adding phone lines. So, yeah, that's why it was so big.
So I've talked to radio stations of all different sizes and did a whole report on this return on investment thing a few years ago. And I talked to stations that were saving anywhere from $150 a month, because they only had like 4 lines to begin with, $150 a month to well over $2,500 a month for just the radio station. They didn't have a whole campus attached to them. So that allowed them to pay for a new on-air phone system. And that's what we were after, to get them to buy a new phone system. So, wow.
Yeah. And I mean, especially right now with the way COVID's kind of, put everybody's budgets, on a diet, if you will. It definitely is a good time for that. So,
are there any former phone services that you had that you really miss right now? I know you said the fire alarm line, and I get that. Okay, we still want that to be on POTS. Although it's interesting, is it POTS back to the central office, or does it just go to the basement of the building somewhere where it gets turned back into IP?
No, well, it's POTS to the DMARC and out the DMARC, where probably back to the central office. It's
okay.
Regular POTS. And I mean, that's just how the fire company wanted it. Same with the elevator company. They want to make sure that it's a certain type of phone line. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
standard POTS.
Public safety do what they ask you to do. So tell me about hunt groups. It used to be, for you young kids, it used to be that if a radio station wanted a hunt group, and that's what you call rollover lines, right? Chris Tobin, you got these in New York City. I mean, lots of stations have these, where you'd give out one number on the air. Hey, call us at 555-1073, and talk to the DJ. Well, or see if you can win a new car. Well, you'd give out that one number, but you may have 6 or 10 or a dozen incoming lines, and if the first one was busy with somebody on it already, it would go to the next one and go to the next one and go to the next one. So doing that, it was the phone company that did that, and it was expensive. The phone company charged big bucks to make you a hunt group. It was the technical name. We always usually say, I need a rollover line. I need a line that roll over to 6 places or whatever. But doing this in SIP is quite different and not. It's unintuitively easy. How about that?
Yeah.
Marcos, can you describe that?
Yeah, it was a lot easier than I expected it to be. I mean, as far as on my side of it, doing a hunt group, it was I take my original phone line and just make it a hunt group. In the we use the Telos VX. It was just make 7, 8, however many appearances we want. And when somebody calls that number, first line rings. If that line's occupied, second person who calls goes into the second line and all the way down. And it really was a lot easier than I was expecting it to be. I mean, I had the Mitel guys, we had the whole team ready to dig into this, and put in the password, put in the username. All right, let's make some test calls and see where we need to go. Made the first test call. Okay, it's ringing. Made the second test call. Again, like I said, the second line came in. Third test call, third line came in. We're like, oh, I guess we're done. So now I have 8, 9 phone numbers that used to be in the hunt group free to do whatever I want with, because we ported everything over. So now it's okay. I have 7 or 8 phone numbers to do something with.
The way I describe that in making a hunt group in the SIP world, I use this phrase. Maybe I just made it up. It's unintuitively easy. Like you try, at least for me, I tried what I thought would work after being told kind of how it works, and it worked. And I thought, can it be this easy? Yeah, it's just that easy. In my world, what I did, actually, I was trying to get a hunt group to go into an ATA, a 4-line analog terminal adapter. So it put out 4 POTS lines from the SIP extensions. And so in this one, it had like 4 SIP phones, if you will, virtually inside this little box. And basically, you just tell it, hey, you tell the first one, hey, subscribe to, your extension, 700. Okay, UB extension 700, you log in as extension 700, and there may have been a field to say, how many of these do you want? And it was, I told it 4, or maybe it was, I told the second one to also be 700, and the third one to be 700, and the fourth one to be 700. I forget which way it was, but it was just stupid easy. And in the PBX didn't mind. Now, some PBXs may restrict and may say, unless you tell me otherwise, I'm going to give you, one instance, one appearance of this extension. But in my case, it didn't matter. And so if the first appearance of 700 was busy, then it would just ring the second appearance and the third appearance and the fourth appearance. Was it kind of that easy for you, Marcos?
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting the same thing. Okay, we make a shared call appearance for how many ever lines that we wanted or something to that effect. And it was really just, okay, type in the extension, the authentication, and then how many lines do you want? 7, enter. Okay. And it just worked. So, I mean, I didn't really go through too much hardship on that one, but I mean, we made other hunt groups for different users. We have a hunt group for like our hotline. So it rings all of our different Air Studios. That way somebody picks it up during the overnights. We only have one person here. So wherever they are, they can just reach a phone and pick it up. And that was as easy as pulling from one menu and moving it over to the other side. And that was it.
It's interesting about dealing with SIP PBX, and I may be wrong about the way I'm describing this, but this is the way it's appeared to me. Of course, a lot of them are based on the base layer of Asterisk, which is this open source PBX. But the real Asterisk, I believe, is just command line stuff. You got to know what you're doing. And then all these other companies and groups and efforts, just like Linux distributions, they will put a graphical overlay on this. And there's certainly different ways they could do that. I happen to have figured out and kind of know how to use free PBX because that one's very popular, and it's what my radio stations use, or the person hosting for my radio station uses. And so I kind of know my way around free PBX. But there are some things that are difficult to do in free PBX, and I'm given to understand that in other implementations, they're a lot easier to do. For example, at one of my stations, we used to subscribe to a paid service called Grasshopper. And Grasshopper made it really easy to do certain things that take a little workaround in free PBX, even though they're both based on Asterisk. So a lot of it has to do with the user interface and what happens, in that middle between the user level and the Asterisk level. How much work have they done between those two areas to make it intuitive and easy for you? And I say all that to say that, Marcus, you reported that you got a little frustrated with free PBX when you were starting. I didn't have a choice. I had to make it work, and I had somebody to hold my hand through a few of the more difficult things. It may have taken me 2 or 3 days just to get a phone to ring here at my office in Nashville. But once I did, I thought, okay, I know how to get a phone to ring. I can get a dial tone now. And that gave me some confidence to move on. And I'm not saying I know all about it now. I certainly don't. But I know enough to, add an extension, have somebody's phone ring somewhere else, do a ring group. That's what's fairly common. If you want a bunch of phones to ring together, you create a ring group. And so if you dial, one for sales, all the salespeople's phones have to ring, and that's done with a ring group. Despite your early difficulty, Marcos, you are the one who programs a lot of the stuff now at the remote PBX, right?
Yeah. Again, I was kind of the one that kicked it off. It was all my fault. So I've been doing a lot of the setup and a lot of the early install here at the station, and then also with the church. And as we started coming up to the end of the project, the church's IT department was the one who was going to really take the lead on the maintenance of all the phones and things like that. So they came alongside, started training them, and slowly started handing off different administrative aspects to them for putting in new phones, replacing phones, adding extensions. And this week, I think I've only had one phone call for something that they didn't know how to do yet. And it was a real quick, okay, here we go, look in this spot. Oh, okay, yeah, great. So fortunately, they're up to speed on it, because trying to manage so many extensions is a job. So
yeah. And I guess people come and go in terms of employment. So you've got to set stuff up and tear it back down. But once you get in the habit and routine of doing that, you can do it in a few minutes. It's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, no, I'm quick about it. Oh, okay, hang on. Boom. There you go.
What would you like your password to be? Oh, here's your password. Change it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Good deal. Hey, coming up on the show, two topics. One is supporting talent working from home, because Marcos, like many of us, had to do a bit of that. But what I really want to get to after this break is a major remodeling of the transmitter site. And we're going to hear about that. We're also going to see a live feed from the transmitter site, and it's just absolutely stunningly gorgeous. So we'll see some of that work. Chris Tobin is along in the quiet studio, the performance studio. Our show, This Week in Radio Tech, with me and Chris and Marcus O'Rourke, number 508, is brought to you in part by our friends at Vox Pro from Broadcasters General Store. We'll be right back.
Yo, what's up? Live from NAB 2018. Hey, it's Caden. You need to check out Wheatstone and Vox Pro 7.1. The upgrades are amazing. If you're a jock, if you're a talent, producer, whatever, a morning show, everyone knows Vox Pro, everyone uses Vox Pro, everyone loves Vox Pro. But now the features for this year, 2018, on 7.1 are amazing. If you're using version 4.5.6 and you go to 7, this is exactly what you're missing right here. The features are a game changer. It's going to cut down your editing time by like 80% depending on what you use Vox Pro for. And with version 7.1, introducing unlimited Practic button bars right here, hotkeys right here. I'm going to show you coming out of a song.
Bad things. It's a lot of bad things that they wish and I wish and I wish and I wish.
So you're coming out of your song?
Yeah.
Start your next song right here. It's basically an entire production room right on Vox Pro. So it's the Vox Pro we know and love with a ton more features. And now this is the ultimate game changer right here. Effect macros. So instead of hitting your effects button bar and going up here using your mouse for every effect, you do it right here with one click of the mouse, and you're going to cut down your editing time by about 80% without even touching this new sexy black controller. Check it out right here, Wheatstone Vox Pro 7.1 at NAB in Vegas 2018.
And they're available from Broadcasters General Store on the web at bgs.cc, or give them a call because they're set up for phone calls, friendly people. Oh my goodness, you'll be smiling the whole time. Seriously, at 352-622-7700. 352-622-7700 for Broadcasters General Store. Thanks a lot, Vox Pro and BGS, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. It's Kirk and Chris, and we're talking to Marcos O'Rourke from KWave in Santa Ana, California, just outside Los Angeles. I can't wait to get to the pretty transmitter side stuff and hear your stories about that. But let's quickly cover this working from home. Has COVID-19, how have you been dealing with that? What equipment and what systems are people using at home to be broadcasting on your station, Marcus?
Yeah, when we first started into this whole thing, we had to find a way to keep normalcy on the air as best as we could. And so we were able to buy 7 or 8 laptops for all of our air talent. And then we bought them little Apogee Mic Plus microphones, little USB mics, installed the remote voice tracking software from Wide Orbit, and said, okay, plug it in at home and then let's test it. And within a day of them having it in their hands, they were up and running and voice tracking. So some of them were still coming in every day to do a live shift because we still needed to have a human being at our main station, which is an LP1. But for all the rest of the other stations that we have, they were voice tracking. So we wanted them to be at home and not here. So we kind of gave them the laptop and the mic and said, all right, everything else do from home. Wasn't a totally smooth situation, but we got through the bumps and the hitches and gotchas here and there, and every once in a while we'll come into some weird Windows USB mic audio issue and have to remote log in and fix it. But Windows updates.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like so many updates just blow out audio settings and move things around. When after COVID, when Governor Gavin Newsom says, "Okay, you can go back to work now," we could joke around. It'll probably be November 4th, right? What is that going to look like for you guys? Will people still be at home to some degree? Do they have a choice, or is everybody going to be back together in the radio station?
Well, I mean, obviously, the best solution is everybody's back doing their normal thing here, but we're not sure. We're not exactly sure how this is all going to progress and what the timeline is. Not getting into politics of it, but our Orange County is back on this purple list level, which means essential business only type of thing. So we're still trying to maintain what we have, and then we're trying to look ahead as best as we can to see, okay, how do we start bringing people back in? Do we rotate them in? Okay, you get to be here on Monday, you get to be here on Tuesday, and kind of ramp things back up slowly and safely.
Yeah.
And lots of hand sanitizer.
And is anybody going to get their hair did?
It was open for a very short window and I was able to get a haircut. And then it was like 2 days after that. Oh, nope. All the hair cutting places are closed. And my wife ended up doing the next one. Oh, God. And she did a decent job. I need another one, but.
Hey, right now is a good time to cut away to this live feed on YouTube. And this is just so stunningly beautiful. Tell us, and you got plenty of time right now. Tell us what we're looking at, and Chris, feel free to pipe up with some questions.
Well, we are looking from Santiago Peak, which is kind of in between Orange County, Riverside County, and kind of the corner of LA County, sort of. It's an amazing RF site. I mean, you cover LA, Orange County, Inland Empire, which is like the Riverside, the Temecula, into San Diego. We're the only broadcaster up there, which is a whole story in its own. But right now we're looking north towards Los Angeles, and you can kind of see the road there. That big peak that's on the right side of the picture is Majeska Peak. So it's kind of like twin peaks. The Majeska Peak is just a few hundred feet shorter than Santiago. And we've been up there since 2000. I think it was. So right before I got here.
So there's obviously a whole lot of two-way microwave at the very top of that tower. The rightmost tower on the left side of the screen looks like an TV station's ENG receive array.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody has some ENG up there. Because it's closer than Mount Wilson for a lot of the Orange County news gathering. They just point up to Santiago Peak, and either they microwave it back to their studios in Burbank, or they'll go through internet up there, which is microwaved through the phone company. But
so
it's all microwave up there.
You mentioned that there's only one FM broadcaster up there. You said it's a long story. Can you give us the short version of the long story? That's
Reader's Digest.
It looks like such a great site to be at, right?
Yeah, there was an interpretation of the site plan from the Forest Service. It's all Forest Service land. And there was an interpretation that was a little vague about having full power broadcast stations up there. So we applied, we were given it, we were granted it. And then it turned into a very large court case because the Forest Service went, wait a minute, that's not right. That's not what we meant. And our attorneys kind of said, yeah, but that's what you said. So they ended up saying, okay, fine. You're the only one that gets to be up there for full power broadcast. And that's it. They changed the site plan. And that's where we are today. Although it's funny, because our ERP is much lower than many of the other paging users that they had at the time, which were running 2,000 watts. We're running 530 watts. So it's just kind of like you have pagers that are putting out more power than us.
So were they concerned about human exposure to RF or interference caused by your station? Because I thought you were so mighty and powerful. What was the deal?
Yeah, all of it. They were concerned about all of that, And so we have some very serious filtering on the output side of the transmitter, and it's some pretty. When people look at it and people see pictures of it, they go, "Wow, why so much?" It's like, well, that's how we were able to be up here and stay up here. So
now that live cam up there in Santiago Peak, it's a public feed. You're welcome to look at it on YouTube. If you want to find that on YouTube, engineer friends, just go to YouTube and look for SoCal Broadcast Engineer. That's Marcos's YouTube presence. SoCal, as in Southern California, SoCal Broadcast Engineer. And he's got some videos on there, but this is the one and only live feed, of course, that's on a given channel. And you can leave it up. To me, it's so serene to see that. And I love towers, right? To me, towers represent good. I like it. Some people think they're eyesores. Not me. I love them. So it's just, and look at that. Oh, what?
It's gorgeous. It was really kind of funny. The way that I put it up on YouTube was because a few years ago we had a fire up there. And so I had some friends in the sheriff's department and the fire department. And so they kind of wanted to see what was going on. So I put it up on YouTube and went, here you go. And I decided to keep it up. People enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching it. So, yeah.
The camera that you're using.
What's the setup you have? What's the camera setup?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an Axis, and I think I might have misspoke the other day.
It's an Axis. Why? Oh, okay. I looked. It might be a P, as in Papa, P5630, and then there's Mark II, and there's other versions.
5635E.
Oh,
yeah,
5635.
I just brought it up right now. 5635E.
Okay.
And it's the original version of that, and there's a newer version, but it takes good video.
Now, can that stream directly to YouTube, or do you have to go through something else first?
So we also got the Camstreamer software. So it was a one-time purchase that actually runs on the camera itself and streams out.
Okay. Camstreamer. So the camera is it a Linux running camera?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a little application. They have all kinds of different applications that you can run on the camera. That's why those Axis cameras are so pricey, but they have a lot of security features on there too as well. But Camstreamer is the one that we were seeing it.
We were seeing it automatically pan back and forth, but you've also got in its routine, it also goes down and looks at the parking lot.
Yeah, just so I can kind of see every so often, make sure that we have had people break into our building, and kind of want to keep an eye out for that. Because it's important to us. We want to protect our investment. And so, yeah.
So I take it you can set up the routine, and there's a word for it. I'm forgetting what it is right now, but you can set up the security thing that it does.
Yeah, they call it a guard tour on that camera.
Guard tour, of course. Okay.
I just tell them, go to this preset, go to this preset, go to this preset, and go this slow. So it's that nice, gentle pan. Right.
It looks really good. I've left that up, like I said, on another computer in my lab, and it's so cool. So you're doing some remodeling at the transmitter site, and you said that one of the big reasons was you've got a terrible dust problem up there. I guess I can see why. There's a lot of dust up there on the mountain. It's arid. So what are you doing there?
Yeah, we've had. Right now, we have some middle Atlantic racks of the standard open-ish ones. You put the sides on, you have the doors, but they're not really sealed. I mean, they're sealed from prying eyes and mostly prying fingers, but mice, rodents, dust just goes right through it as if it wasn't even there. And trying to just protect our equipment and reduce the amount of times I have to actually change out filters. I mean, I'm cleaning out the filters, but buying new ones because the other ones are just so gross that I tired of the rats, tired of the dust. So we bought this whole new box that's a sealed enclosure. Usually, like when you look at like cell towers, the ones that have the enclosures at the bottom of the tower. It's those type of enclosures, and it's got a little air conditioning unit on it, We didn't buy the one with the air conditioning, but it's sealed. It's got little filters on the door, fans on the top, so it draws cool air in and pushes out the hot air from the top. And
now, is this
outdoor cabinets?
Is this installed yet?
They're outdoor cabinets.
Yes. Yes.
Ah, okay. Outdoor cabinet.
DDB, I think it is.
Gotcha. And I'm sorry, was this installed yet, or are you going to?
Coming up, probably spring.
Okay.
So
we can.
I want to pre-wire as much as I can down here.
Gotcha. And you call that a sealed environmental rack? Is that how you referred to it?
Yeah, that's kind of how I describe it to others. Because some are not sealed like our Middle Atlantic ones. But
what's your transmitter power and the number of bays you have there?
It's a 2-bay and 530 watts ERP. So we're running Nautel, and it's a VS1. So
yeah,
just give a little bit more power. We're kind of about 2/3 of the way through the. We're using about 2/3 of the capacity of the Nautel. Low power for most people, but.
We've got that same transmitter on a very hard to get to peak on the island of Kauai. And in fact, the only way to really get there, unless you're a heck of a climber, the only way to get there is by helicopter. I haven't been there yet myself, but I'm supposed to go myself the next trip because we've got a bad amplifier pallet on the transmitter. And
I've heard of that site. It sounds like fun.
Yeah. It got vandalized a few months ago. I guess, I think some people were just tired of being cooped up with COVID. They decided to go cause some trouble elsewhere.
Wow.
Yeah. Our stuff was okay, but I think some public radio stuff. Go ahead.
Oof. Yeah, we have one site that we're leasing on in the Las Vegas area. That's Mount Potosi. And that one's quite the adventure to get to, especially in the wintertime. So on my channel, I actually have a video on how we almost died trying to get to it, because that was...
I hear the same thing from our friend Tracy Teagarden. He's with the intercom stations there. Yeah.
Yep.
There's one more thing I want to take a look at, Chris. You're gonna like the status page that you've got, and I've asked Suncast to hide the URL, although you included in your email replies. That's how I saw it. There we go. What are we looking at? And what would you like for Suncast to click on to expand a bit?
Oh, I mean, he can click on any of them, and most of it is just all manually updated. So
okay.
When we have to do maintenance and we take a transmitter down, sometimes it's not convenient to let our front desk know or let the on-air people know. We'll send them an email, but they may not see it, or I may forget to send them an email. But this is a lot of like IT companies or like service providers will do something like this. And this just kind of gives updates. If we do have an unplanned outage, like the other day when we had a planned power outage up at Santiago Peak, but the generator didn't come on, we were able to just update this so everybody was in the loop and they could see, okay, engineers are working on it, and kind of get an idea and kind of feel a little bit more part of what's going on. And it's public too. So if the public, jump on there, sure, that's fine. I mean, I'm not putting secrets on there. It's just, hey, the generator didn't start. We're working on it. We're looking at it. So
it's the website is kwve.statuspage.io. So I guess statuspage.io, that's not your website, that's somebody else's hosting, right? And you
we're using the Status Page service, and there's a free version that you can use.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, just started using that a little bit ago.
Can I use it to let the family I'll be home for dinner, or I won't be home for dinner?
Sure, you could. But unfortunately, there's no mobile interface to it. It's just it would be nice, because while I'm at the transmitter side, okay, it's back on, but kind of have to make it's back on retroactively.
We're talking to Marcus O'Rourke. He's the chief engineer at KWave, just outside in the Los Angeles area. And they have some other stations as well, including one in Las Vegas and satellite distribution as well. Chris Tobin is along, and Chris has been very quiet, but Marcus has been really filling us in. The show, This Week in Radio Tech, is brought to you in part by our friends here at Max Connect Wireless. Max Connect. It's spelled funny with 2 X's and a K. Yeah, I know. So you look at that or click on the show notes. But this is how you get 4G LTE data reliably to, say, a transmitter site, or even for using it for live remote broadcasts. And Chris Tobin, your friend Sam, uses this for live video feeds to broadcast live from some parties and live broadcasts. How's this thing working out for you guys?
It's working out great. He's doing it from his car. He does it from various places where he shows up. We built a little battery pack for it, so it works very nicely. It has helped a lot, actually. We've been in a few places we didn't realize that service was in trouble because of capacity, and then all of a sudden, after everything was said and done, we're talking to folks and like, oh, okay, it's good to know. So yeah, we've had a mixed bag of incidences, and this one, it just worked right through. There are times when the bandwidth is, somewhat constricted because that's the carrier. It's not us. It's not the box. But because the box has priority routing, it stays on top. So that's what helps a lot. You don't realize until you start looking at the stats page and realize, oh, my bandwidth is down a bit, but I'm still connected. And that's key. That's the difference. You're not getting dumped out.
You said something
jitter or... Yes.
Yeah, you said something I forgot to mention. What this does is it gives you, if you've got this, not just because it's the cradle point, if you've got Max Connect Wireless, you are operating through your own APNs with the phone company. In other words, you've got priority over everybody else who's on that site for data, except for first responders. They get the highest priority. But if you've got a wholesale site that's jammed up because people are in a stadium or they're in a shopping mall, they're where they shouldn't be, not social distancing, point is you've got priority over all the other data users on a given site. And that's what gives you the much better chance of getting your data through. And even though, and we tried this, for example, at the SBE national meeting back a little over a year ago when we had the NAB show in Vegas, I was getting great speed on my T-Mobile phone. And so we started, we tested broadcasting video from the SBE meeting with the T-Mobile phone. And even though we were getting great speed testing, we were getting a lot of dropouts too, which don't show up so well in the speed test. And so our video was pretty choppy, actually. Well, we used the Max Connect Wireless that Josh Bone loaned to SBE for that broadcast. And even though it only tested at 5 megabits up and down, it was absolutely solid 5 megabits. We weren't losing any packets that we could see at all. We just had a terrific broadcast thanks to the Max Connect Wireless. So check it out, maxconnectwireless.com. Lots of radio stations, I mean, literally hundreds now, are using Max Connect Wireless as their service for getting internet to the transmitter site, for remote control, for backup audio, and taking it out to remote broadcasts so they can be sure of getting their audio through when they need to. Thanks a lot. Josh Bone, Max Connect Wireless. It's time for our tip of the week. And once again, I totally forgot to ask Marcos if he would have a tip of the week for us. I've got an interesting little tip that I'm going to pass along because I know Chris will have one. Let me get something to open this up with. Aha, here's a knife. So one of my radio stations, the ones in American Samoa, which are a little hard to get to right now, needed some new production computers. And these don't have to do a lot. They run an Axia IP audio driver, so I needed 2 network connections, and I didn't want to hang a USB dongle off the back of a computer to get me one of them. I wanted a little mini computer that natively has 2 USBs on it. And I also wanted, an i3 processor was going to be fast enough. I didn't want to pay the price for the i5, i7, or even i9. And I also wanted it to be fanless. So 2 NICs, at least an i3 processor, fanless, and running Windows 10 for production computers in 2 different studios. And so I thought, I'll try these out. This is just not a famous name at all. Minis Forum, I don't know. I found it on Amazon. And I'm doing an unboxing right now. So I unboxed one yesterday and started setting it up with the IP addresses and the IP driver from Axia and putting different software on it and taking some junkware off, And I got to tell you, It's working great, apparently. Got the IP driver on there. It's hooked to my network. It's just terrific. This is it. It's totally fanless. It's completely quiet, absolutely quiet. It's got a little compartment down here for you to mount a 2.5-inch hard drive. And so I'll be mounting a 2.5-inch, 2 terabyte hard drive in these. I think it comes with 128 gig of memory, SSD memory built in. It's got 3 USB ports that are USB 3. And on this side, it's got those 2 NICs, one for the Axia network and one for the business network. So that's exactly what we need. It's got HDMI, and it also has a DisplayPort, and it comes with the adapter dongle to go between DisplayPort and give you a second HDMI if that's what you need. It's also got a place for a SD card over here, headphone jack, and it's even got mics built in the front. Not that we'd ever use them, but this is we're either going to hang it. Oh, it comes with a little plate to mount it on the back of the monitor if you want to do that. For us, it's just going to get shoved in the cabinet where the old computer is currently. So I'm excited about. Oh, it's got USB-C on there as well, and it comes with a power thing. So hey, I'll give this a try out after I play them for a week or so and let you know how they worked out. But these were under $300. And the hard drive was $75 or so for 2 terabytes, 2.5-inch hard drive. And so far, I've been really delighted with it. And the fact that it's fanless and has 2 network cards on it, that's really what I needed. So not that I'm recommending it. I'm just saying, hey, look around. If you can probably find a piece of hardware that'll suit your needs. And again, this doesn't have to do anything but just do a little bit of light editing, probably not even multi-track, just some stereo editing. And it looks like it's up to the task. So that's my tip. We're not going to spend a lot of money on these. They're going to work fine. Chris Tobin, you got a tip of the week for us real quick?
Well, since we're still talking about the offsite broadcasting and whatnot, it's always handy to reevaluate what you've got in the field. Talk with the announcers or reporters, as we were mentioning earlier, and Marcos pointed out with the human engineering. It's sometimes best to revisit the workflow, and I've been doing that lately with some of our folks, and say, hey, we've been doing this now for 6 months, and I'm just curious. Have you come across obstacles, barrier to entry, whatever you want to call it, while doing the job? And I discovered a few new ones, which was interesting. So we're gonna make some changes. But it's handy. It's handy to reevaluate, look back, go back, and let's say how things are going. Because for many of us, this was forced. It wasn't like you had a choice to work it out. It'd be nice to do this, do that. No, you have 4 days to get out of the building, that kind of thing. So a lot of times you overlook a few small things like creature habits that some people are accustomed to, that they figured out a way at home to do it. But heaven forbid the power goes out, or one of their children pulls a wire, or the dog does the wire pull, and it doesn't come back to life, and you don't remember how you did it. It's best to start asking those questions so you can create a more tolerant flow, more broadcast resilient, if you will.
That's really thoughtful. Oftentimes, I guess the thing that we come up with on the fly under duress may work, but there may be a better solution available. So just ask those same questions again. If we were setting this up today, would we do this any differently? And what are we really trying to get done here?
Yeah, and just remember, when you do it quick and fast, sometimes you put things together not realizing that you worked around a problem the machine or the device does have, and you got it to work until you powered it off, or until it got powered off unintentionally. And then you say, why is it not coming back on? And you go, oh, that's right. We had to change the driver. I got to go back in there. That's what I'm trying to avoid. That's what I'm saying. Go back and look and say, oh, okay, let's get rid of this. Or let's change this and make it happen.
Marcos, can you come up with a tip of the week for us to take us out of the show?
Sure. So I like these little MV88 microphones that just attach to your iPhone, and it's a good quality microphone that you can record into anywhere. And it's not too expensive. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it sounds pretty decent. We've used it for recording some interviews. Our community relations folks have taken them out and actually done a couple of interviews back and forth with it. And we've used that to put on the air, and it sounded pretty decent. I mean, it sounded like you're there, you're on the, what's the word, man on the street type style, but it sounded good. So, yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Who makes that MV88? That sounds familiar. Who makes that?
Yeah, Shure.
Shure.
Oh, it is.
Shure MV,
okay.
As in Mike Victor 88. Yeah.
Yes.
Good deal.
Yeah.
And
they have a little software that goes with it too.
Ah, okay.
You don't have to use it, but I mean,
it looks like they come with some accessories, windscreens of various types, and as you mentioned, the software. I wouldn't say they're cheap, but it's described as there's the MV88 Plus. That's the whole video kit. Sorry, they're about $150 for the mic. It's stereo too. So that single, it's got two dual pickup on it. Good deal. Marcos, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate you being here and sharing this adventure with the VoIP conversion for a huge campus of 500 people, plus the radio station.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you guys for letting me be here.
We'll have links to all this stuff, including Marcos's tower cam from Santiago Peak on the show notes. Chris Tobin, thank you for being here as well. Appreciate you're showing up here every week. Good to see you.
Yeah, same here. I enjoy it. It's a good time. Marcos, thank you very much for making time with us. Appreciate it. It was good.
Oh, my pleasure.
Next week, we're going to have John Bissett back with us, but not about his usual workbench stuff. John Bissett's going to be talking specifically about generator readiness, AC power generator readiness. And we're getting ready to head into winter here before you know it. I mean, it's already September. So John will be here with that. And John's such a pleasant guy. I'm sure he'll have lots of good stuff in addition to the generator maintenance stuff. So look out for that next week. Tell your friends about This Week in Radio Tech. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the little subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll get you'll subscribe. That's great. You're welcome to make comments. That does help the algorithms, and maybe you'll get to see us a bit more often. They'll pop up in your feed, and say something nice. That'd be just great. Thanks a lot to Suncast, our producer, for putting the show together at the studio end in New York City. Thanks very much for that, Suncast. And thanks to Andrew Zarian, the founder of the GFQ Network, home for lots of other fine podcasts, including What the Tech. I'm Kirk Harnack in the Telos Alliance studio in Nashville. We'll see you next week on This Week in Radio Tech. Bye-bye.